Good morning, everyone. Waiting for everyone to pop on here. We're getting a good group popping in. All right. If you don't mind, go ahead and mute your microphone if you do have a microphone, if you're connecting via phone or audio on your computer. That just helps everyone eliminate some background noise. And we're getting quite a few participants logging in. That's great. Glad to see everyone here. I hope that today finds you with a beautiful day that we are experiencing here in central Iowa. All right. We are recording. We are going to go through a presentation. I'm going to talk to you guys about scheduled sales today. And then we're going to open it up at the end for questions and have an open question and answer session for any questions, comments, and information that our participants would like to share. So, all right. Again, if you would please mute your microphone, we'll get started here. We are introducing our scheduled sales feature today. What is scheduled sales in FAS? Scheduled sales records are a record of intention to market animals into the food chain. Why did we create scheduled sales? Scheduled sales was created to assist with the prediction of feed needs at the end of a turn for market groups. It utilizes marketing intention information to predict the reduction in animal inventory in the barn and the corresponding drop in daily feed intake for a group. So we can stop over-delivering feed at the end of a turn. Scheduled sales was also created to assist with the validation of medications ordered at the end of a turn for market animal groups. Validation of every medication ordered to prohibit medications with documented withdrawal status to be ordered during the marketing period for a group. It was also created to assist with the prediction of the feed needs at the end of a turn. I think we just have an extra slide in there. Sorry about that. What else does scheduled sales do in FAS? Scheduled sales prompts scheduled sales alerts. Based on group and feed budget information, alerts when a group is potentially approaching market weight, but no market intentions or scheduled sales records have been recorded in FAS. We want to reduce the discounts off your payments for overfed animals by highlighting animals that should be ready for market, but don't seem to be visible. In addition to that, scheduled sales provides the alerts, but it also provides logistics communications. The ability to dynamically distribute market load scheduling information to in-house and mobile users has proven to be useful by some of our clients. Cloud-based market load scheduling tool where it is one place to update the schedule that automatically updates it everywhere for everyone. No more publishing spreadsheet updates in 10 different places and redistributing to everyone involved. Everything gets updated dynamically in one place. It also provides the ability to generate load sheets for use in documenting load out counts. Need a document to identify a load from farm to market? We've got that covered too. So how do you create scheduled sales? There are two ways to create scheduled sales records in FAS. One is scheduled sales entry, and the second is scheduled sales import. I'm going to hop over to our live demo system and get logged in and show you guys the entry page and the import pages. If you'll bear with me. I'll get logged into our support system. We do have someone who has a microphone that needs to be muted yet. That would be great if you could do that. All right. Our scheduled sales entry is done from the group flow page of the FAS home console. To enter scheduled sales for a farm, sales intentions for a farm, you click on the farm, and then you right-click on a group and choose Scheduled Sales from the pop-up menu. This particular page is where we present you with group information at the top of the group that you are scheduling loads for. To create a load, you will select a trucker, you'll select a packer or a market point, designate the number of head, designate a sales date, and populate the dock date, dock time, load date, and load time if that information is available. In this example, I keep hitting that entry feature. So we do have a validation, as you've noticed here, that will not allow you to overschedule the amount of animals remaining in the group. In this particular case, this group has been fully scheduled. We have 0 remaining head to be scheduled, as opposed to what the current inventory is in the group. So we do validate some of that information for you as you're creating loads in your scheduling page to make sure that we're not overcommitting the inventory of a group. Once you add the record, you will see the records display down here in the Edit Sales, Scheduled Sales area. A nice feature, if you have multiple loads coming out of a particular group on a single day, is the Duplicate button. The Duplicate button will go ahead and duplicate that exact load on that exact day. It will just copy everything so that you don't need to enter information multiple times. If you created a record in error, you can remove that record simply by clicking the Remove, or you can just simply update the record if it's just a piece of information about the record that needs to be updated. Updates are saved immediately. I'm going to take that out. The sales sheet also presents after a scheduled load has been created in the Scheduled Sales entry page. The sales sheet can be utilized to generate a printable document or an emailable document that can be sent with the truck to the farm to document the grower count and the trucker count. The sales sheet also includes the Group Guard QR code that can be scanned at the destination to provide detailed information about the group. An additional way to put scheduled sales records into FAS is through an import and upload method. Under the Data Import menu, there is a Scheduled Sales option. You will select a file and load the file, and once that is done, you will have the records here to preview the information such as the farm, the group, the sale date, the load date, dock date and time, trucker, the destination, the packer, all of that information specific to each load. Once you review that information, then you click the checkbox to select the loads, and you select the import. All of those records then will be available in FAS. Now, how do you view the information in FAS? I'm going to take you back to the home screen, which is where most of our users start. There are 2 ways to view scheduled sales information in FAS. The number 1 way is in the grid view page of the console. You can see we've got some loads scheduled out here in weeks 26, 27, and 28. We have, and this is my demo database, so this is just small numbers compared to what several of you would be using. But you can see that we have that information showing here at an aggregate level by week to indicate how many head we have marketing intentions for. This also plays into the information of calculation of available space. The additional place that scheduled sales records can be seen is on the Scheduled Sales Report. Under Global Reports, under the top menu, 3rd from the bottom is the Scheduled Sales Report. You can run this report by a specific date range. You can filter it further by specific groups or owners or truckers, transportation providers, for example, the destination facility for the market point, or specific by farm, service mill, or branch. When you run the report, you're presented with a listing of all of the market loads that have been recorded in FAS during that particular date time frame and filtered by those applicable filters. So this is a report of all market loads recorded in this FAS system that will ship between May 1st and May 16th by the transportation provider FAS haulers. This is summarized by week, similar to the aggregate information we saw on the grid view page, but the load detail is displayed in this report. This report can be emailed or downloaded to spreadsheet or printed for further distribution out of FAS. In addition to being able to view this information in FAS, your users in FAS Mobile can also access that information from their mobile device. Bear with me while I get logged into our mobile site for our demo system. When I touch on a farm and I go to the farm menu ribbon, under the farm level reports, there is a scheduled sales report. I need to back this up to grab my data. In addition to the farm menu level report, there is an overall global report in FAS Mobile. So for a trucker who is looking at where all they have loads, and I apologize, I must not have turned that on specifically in my demo system. This report will generate information for them to display those market loads that they are responsible for hauling if they have a particular login that is restricted to their particular vendor. But the farm level will also be able to see the market intentions that you have provided them with that scheduled sales report, all from within entering that information into FAS. If your market load schedule changes, it is very simple to update the schedule by coming back to the home screen and launching into the scheduled sales page where you can edit that. So in this case, this load that was scheduled for 8/4 got pushed off to 8/23, 5/23, I'm sorry. So I just modified the sales date, and now I can update the dock date and the load date. We're going to load that the day before, and I can put in specific times as well. But that is all that is needed to update, very similar to doing it in a spreadsheet, to just come in here and modify that record. And as soon as I have done that, that record is modified everywhere. It's modified for the mobile user. It's modified for the user that is using the scheduled sales report. So to restate, we have information available on the scheduled sales report, and then also information available on the home console grid view. Again, scheduled sales helps to assist with prediction of the reduction of feed needs at the end of the turn in the prediction logic of FAS. It helps to validate the medications that are being ordered toward the end of the turn so that you do not order a medication that you have documented has a known withdrawal time. And it also helps with logistics, communications, and space utilization.
Okay, I can do that.
All right, I'm going to open up the floor for questions and comments. Anyone who would like to ask a question about scheduled sales at this point is welcome to go ahead and ask a question.
Hey, Molly, this is Jen. I'll start.
Hey, Jen. Hi.
Hi. Hey, when would our clients enter scheduled sales? Could they do that upon the creation of a new turn-in and a new group, or do they wait until the predictor alerts within FAS?
It's actually completely up to them. Ideally, as soon as they know about their marketing intentions for a group of animals, they would go ahead and put that information into scheduled sales in FAS. The sooner you can get that information into the system, the sooner the system can utilize it for the prediction of the feed needs and for communication of marketing intentions. So the scheduled sales alert is there to just help alert you if you have a group that you missed. Maybe you missed entering your market loads in for that particular group. As the group is approaching market weight, it will be alerted just to kind of help catch those things that are missed. But most of the time, you're going to know, most operations I've run into are going to know about their marketing intentions previous to that, and there's absolutely no reason to wait.
Thanks.
Good question. We had one come in via chat here. Let me pull that up. Hi, Megan. Thanks for joining us. Megan asks, hi, what settings do I use to set up a mobile account for truckers? I don't want them to see all my list of farms, but I do want them to see all of their load data. So, Megan, what you would do is in the user security area of FAS, and actually I'll just hop over here and show you this. In the user security area of FAS is where you set content restrictions for a particular user. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select, so you would set up an account. Let's just do this. I'm just going to do it right on the fly so you can see exactly how we would do it. So I'm going to set up an account for Mr. Fast Hauler. I would need to, email address is not required, but if he is going to access through mobile, you would need to add his mobile feed phone number here so that he would have access to FAS Mobile. And then I will give him a user ID and a password. And I'm going to leave the permission template as none. He doesn't need any access to any actual pages within FAS just to be able to utilize access through FAS Mobile. All right, so here's Mr. Fast Hauler. To be able to show him his particular loads through FAS Mobile and not every single farm, we would use the content restrictions and restrict by vendor. So he's already in the system as a vendor to be able to be added as the trucking vendor on the loads. So I can restrict him by vendor and then choose from the list of vendors and select just fast haulers. And then I'm going to update the user setting. Utilizing that content restriction and restricting that user by vendor allows them to see all of the loads where they are named the vendor, but only the loads where they are named the vendor and not just every farm within your system. I hope that answers that question, Megan. Very good question. All right. Bill asked, a similar need to minimize leftover feed exists for nursery groups that are about to close. Would we also use the scheduled sales, or is there a similar scheduled transfer? There is not a similar scheduled transfer, and you can utilize scheduled sales for nursery groups if you are not utilizing medications that have a withdrawal. So again, scheduled sales was designed for use with market animal loads going into the food chain. So the validations that are in place will prohibit a load being scheduled for a group that is currently under withdrawal status from treatment with either a feed grade, water soluble, or injectable treatment record that has a withdrawal setting. So while you can use it, you can only use it if you don't have a current withdrawal status. So that is something that we are looking at, is how much need there is out there to be able to use basically scheduled movements in general, to be able to allow use of these features to have the entire logistics schedule and not just the market hall schedule. Currently, all of the logic is based around market halls. I hope that answers that question, Bill. Good question.
Hey, Molly.
Yes.
Kind of going off of that question that Bill just asked, if could you utilize it in the same way if you just use a placement, or, you know, so like you know that that nursery is going to empty, but you can schedule the placement of that nursery at the time that you start the nursery group, you know, 8-9 weeks later. I mean, does that give you kind of the same information or not necessarily?
No, a scheduled placement. So the reason that scheduled sales would be useful in that situation in that nursery situation is, again, telling FAS about the intention of reducing the inventory and when to predict that reduction in daily feed intake by the group,
okay,
and the correct estimated feed on site. A scheduled placement helps predict for space utilization, but it doesn't tell FAS about the reduction in the inventory of the existing group. So I could totally see where that's applicable.
Okay.
All right. Craig asked another good question here via chat. When adding or changing loads, do producers and truckers get messages via text, email, alert from FAS Mobile, from the FAS system about the add or change? The answer is no. FAS Mobile is strictly an information resource where the users can go and look for information, but there is no push notification. So if you needed to give a vendor a heads up for notification, you would need to send out a message in another way. Good question. No, Craig, there is currently no method of push notification out of FAS or FAS Mobile. He asked, can we specify a mobile number and email and it can message? We don't have that kind of functionality. So, all right, any additional comments? Who's using scheduled sales?
We do at Schrader Farms.
So what has that done for you?
Well, more than anything, it's just kind of kept like our field guy accountable, because the communication wasn't the best. You know, he would schedule loads and not tell us, or, you know, just forget. I mean, he's busy, you know. So more than anything, it's helped with that. There have been we haven't been using it very long, maybe 6 weeks or so, and we've already come across a couple instances where we were like, okay, we thought we had more pigs in this barn and we don't. Where did we lose communication of this other load? There was one instance where we actually had more pigs in the barn than what we thought, so the scheduled sales, helped us with that. We had to squeak in another load. So as of now, I mean, that's how we've benefited from it so far.
Terrific, terrific. Great input, Alicia. Let's see if I can see who else is on here. Janet Kerber, are you guys using scheduled sales?
Not consistently. We use it at times, I guess, but
okay. Where have you found it to be beneficial? In what situations have you found it to be beneficial for you guys?
Probably mostly as we're closing groups and watching the feed consumption and feed ordering.
Okay, with the feed ordering side.
Okay. Yeah, the feed side more. We don't use it for communication at all at this point.
Gotcha. Thank you. Another question got popped up here. Can we use scheduled sales information to provide to our packer what loads are fulfilling our contract? So absolutely. If you need to communicate to the packer that you are, what you have scheduled to go in, that scheduled sales report, number one, is a great tool to be able to send right out of the system and send into the packer and communicate to, the scheduler or whoever needs that information to know what you have scheduled. In addition to that, you have that visibility on the home console screen in the grid view to give you an idea. So in the situation where you know that you, for example, have a contract with a packer where you need to provide, I'm going to try and minimize the chat here, where you know that you need to provide, let's just say 10,000 head per week. You can see where you have scheduled sales scheduled, how many head are scheduled, to know if you are fulfilling that commitment with your scheduled market intentions, or if you're needing in one particular week to go ahead and take a look at some additional barns to move some loads up that you hadn't originally intended because maybe some other animals aren't ready yet and some loads got moved off. Just to have that high-level visibility of how many head you have scheduled for sale in a particular week. Good question.
On that note, Molly,
yeah.
Is there a place, if you have a specific contract that you're using, is there a place to include that in your scheduled sales that you send to the packer? The report that you send?
That's a good question. I'm going to actually make a note of that. I don't know that there is, but I don't know that we don't have a spot for that. So I'm going to make a note of that, and I will get back to you on that, Jan. I will find out if there is a place to document that in that record. And if not, that's definitely something that we should be able to add a value or a place for that to be documented. Great. Good comment. All right. Megan says, it looks like the user access default scheduled sales report did denied. Does this apply to FAS Mobile too? No, it does not. So the user access pages in the user profile when you set up a user profile in FAS, are access to the pages within the primary application that we access commonly from our desktop. FAS Mobile, there is no page restriction functionality in FAS Mobile. A user either has access to mobile or not, and then the content restriction of how you set that user up in user security determines what specific record detail they see in FAS Mobile, for example, which specific farms, groups, etc. So it does not impact that. Megan, good question. All right, another good question popped in here. Would the general information report be helpful for our marketing team to look at what groups are available for our first cut strategy? Well, somebody's jumping the gun here. Actually, one of our upcoming FAS Lives is going to be the general information report and all of the information that is displayed on that and how it can be utilized by different roles in your production system. But most definitely, a lot of these KPIs are available. Estimated market date, start market weight, current estimated animal weight. And so the general information report is a great wheelhouse report for lots of information to see values that represent information you need for determining market information. So I don't want to go into that today. I want to stay really high level about what scheduled sales is and what the scheduled sales records do, but that will be something we will cover in a future FAS Live when we go through all of the information presented in that general information report. That report is really a great tool for lots of information. So, hey, no worries. Don't worry about that. I think that's a great question. So, but we will go into more detail about that, about how that information can be used. All right, so we've gone about our half an hour time frame. Does anyone else have a burning question they would like to ask us? All right, nobody's popping up here on my chat window, so I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording and stop sharing, and we're going to wrap this call up. Please, if you have any further questions, you want any more specific information about how scheduled sales might be utilized or be applicable to your particular business, get a hold of our support team. You can email support@prairiesystems.net or call into our Spencer office at 712-580-3311, and we will be glad to help you evaluate scheduled sales and know how that might be applicable and how that might be useful to your operation. Thanks, everyone, and let us know how we can help you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Molly.